Question number 9, Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Building and Housing. Does he stand by his statement that the 500 hectares of surplus Crown land he's identified has already been zoned as residential, but with no existing buildings or tenants to manage, meaning houses will be able to be brought to market faster?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I stand by my full statement, and it said it is estimated that the Crown, through various agencies, own approximately 500 hectares of land with the potential for residential development. The work is at an early stage, but I'll be able to confirm a number of sites that will assist us with housing on Friday.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Will he confirm that before the announcement, officials told him he will be lucky if only 1/4 of the 500 houses could be built on?
No.
Honourable Dr Nick
Smith. Cannot confirm that. There is 150,000 hectares of Crown land in Auckland. Officials have been sifting through thousands and thousands of titles, and on Friday I'll be able to identify the first blocks of land that will have potential, albeit it's until you actually test sites with the private sector as to where it is economical to develop such areas that will bring houses on stream.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Will he at least admit that his officials questioned the economic viability of building on much of the 500 hectares? And if so, why did he ignore their concerns?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Quite the opposite. Officials have been very enthusiastic about this program. They brought it to myself and the Minister of Finance, and I invite the member to have a look at Christchurch, where on sites like Awatea, like the partnership we have with the Christchurch City Council at Colombo Street and Wells Street, like at the new houses that have been built at Rangers Park, the developments at Hobsonville, the developments at Weymouth, to see the progress this government's been able to make where the previous government did nothing.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Did his officials carry out proper site inspections on each property prior to his announcement? And if not, why did he refuse to allow them sufficient time to check whether each parcel of land is suitable for building before he rushed out his announcement?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, we made a budget announcement of $53 million to support this program, as well as $2 million of operational funding. If the member actually reads the release, it makes plain that the work is to go ahead around the identification of these sites. What I can confirm for the member is that the previous government announced the Hobsonville housing development in 2002. By 2008, not a single sod of soil had been turned. We now have hundreds of houses built on that site, showing the progress that's possible under this national government.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Order. Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Can he confirm that no parcel of land in his 500 hectares has any of the following on it? Power substations, pylons, a cemetery, a fire station and school playing fields? And if he can't confirm that, is his refusal to release the full list of sites down to his embarrassment or his incompetence?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, there are thousands of sites, and I know Mr Twyford yesterday claimed that, I will if the member gives you half a chance. The member identified a site yesterday in Hebburn Road. It's a site of which he said there could be no houses because there was a substation on it. The problem is the substation is only in one corner, and there's 3 hectares. There's 3 hectares of vacant land. Why would we not consider housing development on the remainder of the vacant land? Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
I seek the leave of the House to table the title to the site showing the substation in one corner of the 5 hectares.
Order. The document's been described. Order. Order. The document's been described. I'll put the leave. The House can decide. Leave is sought to table that particular document. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Order. Point of order. Order. point of order has been called. Phil Twyford.
Mr Speaker, if the member is in his previous answers quoting an official document that is the list of sites that he's talking about, can I ask that he table
Order
it?
easily resolved. Is the member quoting? No, I just need to know whether the member was quoting from a legal.
No, just a search of the titles that was made after the member made false claims yesterday.
There's no need to add any more. Question number 10. Oh, supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Supplementary to the Minister.
Question.
Isn't this yet another overcooked, poorly thought through stunt to look like he is doing something about the Auckland housing crisis, which will simply end up as another list of broken promises?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, when we came to government, we were building 200 houses per month in Auckland. Last month, we built 750 in Auckland. That shows the progress that we are making. We have more work to do, and that's why we committed additional funds in the budget.
Point of order, the Honourable Murray McCully.
I apologise for not doing so at the end of question 8, Mr Speaker, but I wanted to seek leave to table a cabinet paper dated 13 February 2013 entitled Saudi Arabia Food Security Partnership.
Leave us sought to table that particular cabinet document. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled. Question number 10, Scott Simpson.